obviously an interesting time is senior day. And just your thoughts on this class, what it meant to you.
Yeah, I mean, no different than any senior class, and I don't say that in a a numbing way, like just another senior class. I mean, when you're with these kids for as long as we are, and how hard they've worked, and all the adversity that they've overcome, and you kind of look at that and say, adversity. These guys have won a heck of a lot of games, but there's still just so many things that go on in that process, and just really, proud of these guys for grinding through and making progress in their lives as people and students, and playing pretty good football along the way.
If there was maybe one thing that kind of does you know it is, you mentioned adversity. I mean, you look at guys, even Jamar and DJ and Jarrell, they all had injuries that took them out for a year, and there's been guys like Darren Kuntz and Greg Grimes who, not until their senior year, where they really made an impact.
Yeah, all those things are, so important in the big scheme of life, and we're just really convinced that those type of things are going to help them down the road, as painful as they are to go through. And really, looking back on it, they're minor things, but I think it's they're important because that's what's going to happen down the road.
For a lot of these guys, this has been their chance to really make a big impact and start and that kind of thing. How do you think they've sort of seized that moment that they've had?
I think pretty darn well. I really do. I think that's one of the reasons that certain guys in certain phases of our team are playing well, because I think I was kind of looking at that list of seniors, and all of them are significant contributors in some way, some fashion. I mean, whether it's special teams or offense or defense, but even in the locker room, and just their stability of being, good guy. And I think they're all like that.
You surprised, Coach? You talk about how hard it is to improve from your junior to your senior year. It seems like you've had a large number of these guys that have really gotten a lot better this year.
Yeah. Yeah, in some ways I am surprised, because I know how hard that is. And like you say, there's a lot of them that have really taken a nice step. And so you hope, a couple of them are able to do that. But really, like I say, when you look at that list, all these guys are in pretty significant roles compared to where they were in the past. And again, I think that's why we're doing pretty well.
Seems like this senior class has also done a lot of the little things, right? I mean, I feel like we talk with a lot of those freshmen. It seems like they're always saying Jarrell or Jamar is watching film with them.
Yeah.
And, it seems like they do a lot of the little things too.
They do. I mean, again, you're not gonna do well unless you take care of the little things, the details. And if there's probably one thing that these guys maybe have gotten from this experience, is it is about the little things. It is about the grinding little process of being in there today, on their day off, watching tape on their own and trying to figure this thing out. And some of these guys are just like clockwork. It's pretty impressive. It really is, because it's not easy to do this late in the season, and they do it.
What's it like just to see them take that initiative?
Well, that's what it's all about. And you see, a core of guys like that, and you think, if all of them were like that, this might be an okay job.
Talk about the emotion of guys like Mitch Burrows and Mike Atkinson walking out without pads on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be hard, and certainly for Mike and some of these guys that we have anymore. I think Mike is about the only one that his days actually playing in a Bronco uniform are over, and so that's hard. We saw him walking through the office today, and no crutches, nothing, and you're kind of looking at him. Are you ready to go? Did they misdiagnose you? And but so that's hard. And like I say, we're still hopeful Mitch is going to get another game or two in him. Time will tell on that. But yeah, for all those guys, that they know it's coming to an end. And some of them it's sooner than later.
So December 1st is remotely possible, at least for Mitch?
Yeah, we're still hoping. We'll see. The doctor checks him, I think, every week, and they kind of got a timetable, so we'll just see.
And how about the dextro?
Yeah, Dex, we're hopeful we'll be able to do something this week, so we'll see.
Seems like Mitch, you see him on the Hawaii, headsets on, just keeps plugging away.
Yeah, I think he's ready to call plays. He's done a great job. I mean, sometimes you got to go through this to really figure out how much you appreciate a guy. because he hasn't missed a beat. I mean, as devastating as that is for him to miss this much football, you'd never know how hard that is on him. You know, I think one thing is he's kind of got a little vision of his life and that he wants to make football, you know, at least at this point, part of it, and coach and do some of those type of things. So I think that's been a breath of fresh air for him. But it's been amazing. I mean, he's really done a great job for us.
For somebody that's been in the program for 6 years, it seems like it would have been real easy, you know, with not knowing if he, I mean, there's a chance he's going to play again, but it seems like it would have been easy for him to kind of maybe, you know, not continue down this path.
Yeah, I mean, for sure to be depressed, if not mad, and all those other things that come with it, and you know, moping around, and I mean, we haven't even kind of seen that. I mean, he's been tremendous in terms of, I think, for the teammates, but certainly for the coaches. I mean, it's been great.
How was your trip to Hawaii? What's
Well,
it like?
it was good. You were proud of the kids because you just don't know what that's like until you're in these guys' shoes going over there. I mean, everybody thinks Hawaii and, you know, it's great and fun and all those things. And I mean, we're going over there to play a game. So all those things that make Hawaii attractive to everybody else makes it tough, you know, on the kids. And but they did a really nice job.
This is the first time you've been there without a large, boisterous, loud crowd shouting at you. How did you feel the guys adjusted to the difference in atmosphere?
Yeah, we were a little bit prepared for that. I don't know, maybe the coaches, maybe myself, just because we've been over there so many times. I mean, I thought I'd been over there a lot and thinking, you know, I'm quite a veteran of this island until Paul J. told me he'd been over there 38 times. And I just stopped talking then and deferred everything to him. But I think when we played in the bowl game over there a couple years back, you know, that was really a great lesson because we had been there a few weeks earlier in probably one of the most hostile environments that I'd ever been in. And then you come back and it's about 180 degrees opposite. And all those things really affect you. And we've talked about that before. And so we were semi-prepared for, you know, in a stadium that didn't have tremendous energy. And again, I think the kids did a good job with it.
How did the guys handle you gave them a couple hours off the game, which sounds great.
Yeah.
How'd they handle it?
Yeah, a couple hours. It sounds like you say a couple days, you know. We're talking hours. Okay, don't mess up in a couple hours. But they did fine. And, yeah. You know, I mean, that's how I say, it's not a bowl game. It's not a vacation. You know, we're over there to play a game and come back. And then we, you know, had a little delay after the game, and so they did great.
The atmosphere here obviously has been pretty good for games, San Diego State and BYU, but I think you guys are still having trouble totally filling it out. What's your impression, just being on the sidelines, of what the new stadium's kind of done for you?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I've felt tremendous, you know, as good as energy as we've had. I really have. Do you always want every nook and cranny filled? Absolutely. And I think when that happens around here, you know, then you can talk about growing this program even more. But it's not going to happen until that thing is truly packed. You know, so much money, and there's not a need for it. But once there's a need, and that's what you hope for as a coach and a player, is, you know, is that need and that passion that comes with it. And so, but I do think the games have been really good. Early games, late games. You know, we certainly feel Bronco Nation in there.
Particularly the BYU game and even the San Diego State game.
Yeah.
I felt like the crowd could make a difference, particularly given that it's kind of bowled in now.
Absolutely. I think we felt it every game that we've played. I really have. And that's what you hope. You hope that they come fired up and ready to, you know, really help the home team and make a difference.
Do you think you guys are close to getting that where every nook and cranny is filled, or you know?
I think time will tell. You know, I mean, I think time will tell. I think there's, you know, I think Bronco football continues to grow, and you know, slowly but surely, you sure hope that happens.
First impressions, Colorado State.
Yeah, I think that this is a team, and we've spoke about this before, but is truly getting better. And it was interesting watching them put on the last game and how they played this last game against UNLV. And you know, like I said, we have a lot of respect for UNLV, and We knew we were going to have to play well because that team was improving and all those things. Well, they played in a kind of half a snowstorm over there last weekend. And you could see the passion and energy, and you can see how these guys are getting better. There's no doubt about that. And this will be a good challenge for our guys. It really will. And what I like about it is, like I always say, we got smart guys. So they're going to put that tape on, and they're going to go, oh, okay. Very multiple, getting better, playing hard. Use a lot of young guys with some sprinkled of some guys that have been there. And so another good test.
I know they've had a lot of injury concerns this year. You guys have faced some backup quarterbacks. I think they're down to the third and fourth string. They were saying they weren't going to be able to fill the charter plane and come to Boise. Does that make a difference at all when you know that they're that thin?
Not at all, because everybody's got their problems this late in the season. And so you could say Colorado State or you could say Boise State. It's all the same.
The running back that I think they put in start 2 games ago, and in the last 2 games he's had more than 100 yards. What's kind of said about Alexander?
Yep, good player, young guy. If you're speaking about the same guy that I am,
Yeah.
but he's a compact guy that does not go down easy. I say compact, I mean he's 5'11", 6 feet, but when I think he's a freshman, or a redshirt freshman, when I saw that I was like, I didn't remember him. And I'm thinking, where did this guy come from? Because he doesn't play like that. And so they do a good job. And we got a lot of respect for those coaches, McElwain and Dave Baldwin and all those guys over there. We've known those guys for a long time, and we know that they're excellent coaches. And you can see that, coming at you full force as they build that program.
Schematically, what makes them different than they were last year? Are they appreciably different than what they were?
Oh yeah. Their schemes are much different. And on offense. It's a strong hint or blend of the Utah State stuff with Dave Baldwin over there. But Coach McElwain, I mean, he's an offensive guy, and so those two guys, I'm sure, are scheming and dreaming together. And there's just a lot there that you got to defend.
You talk about, you see them getting better. How do you pick that up on tape necessarily?
Well, you just watch the execution for one. I mean, you just watch it, their games as they go, and they're smart. You don't throw out your schemes. You keep running the same thing and maybe hone them and tighten some things up and get rid of some other stuff, and they start getting better. And you can just see how the kids keep, how hard they keep playing. And you watch sidelines and, when something happens and the energy and those type of things. And so it's very apparent that these guys are, all in.
You and Coach McElwain have crossed paths before, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were those occasions? I remember him just kind of talking about a little bit down at the Mountain West Media Days.
Yeah. I think when he was on the Fresno staff, and we kind of got together with those guys when they came up for one of the H Bowls. And so that was kind of my, introduction to him. And, awesome guy. And then I think a few of our staff guys knew him and before and said the same thing. And so, good guy.
Your defense played so well against Hawaii. None of those players got recognized by the Mountain West, and
Yeah.
you're not into those individual honors, but it does seem like it's a collective unit, and not one guy is really getting all the attention or all the accolades, probably the way you want it.
Well, I think, I certainly like it when our guys get recognized, but I do think to play really the defense that you want to play, it's got to be a bunch of them. And I think that's what's been happening all year long, that those guys have been playing great together, and somebody makes a play here and the next guy makes it the next series. And that's what has to happen to really play really, really good defense, and it has been happening.
The defensive line, you moved Horn inside, probably to compensate for Atkinson. And it seemed like he may have played one of his better games of the year. What have you seen out of him and the fact that now he can play multiple spots?
Yeah, it's interesting because you watch these guys as they're freshmen, which we did last year with Tyler, and you play him in there with those 5 NFL guys, and you're going, I hope he's going to do that. I hope he's going to get there. And, but then he's one of those guys that just takes his stuff very, very serious and goes to practice, and he practices hard. And so you could, in the spring, feel him coming along, and then in fall camp, and then he's played well this year. He's made some plays in the game. That was kind of the one thing we're waiting to see him do a little bit more in the games. Well, he's a sophomore, and he started to make a lot of plays, and he felt good. And then to be able to kick him down inside and play both, I think that just really speaks to his versatility, and he's going to have a really, really bright future here.
What stood out that made you say he is a guy? I mean, I know he's a bigger guy, but he doesn't look necessarily like Atkinson or
Yeah.
Vance or Ricky, you know.
The thing that's great about that is I mean, think if we can move him inside down the road to have that frame inside. I mean, that's impressive stuff. So, you know, we'll figure out. I think the thing that's so nice about Tyler is he's going to give us another dimension of flexibility, and then down the road we can figure out where he truly fits as he develops more inside. We'll still play him outside, but as he develops more inside, play to his strengths, play to our whole D-line strengths. So that's an exciting piece to the puzzle right there.
When you look at the defensive numbers statistically from last year and compare them with this year, they're almost identical as far as yards and points and everything. The turnovers are significantly better. What do you attribute to getting so many more turnovers this year?
I don't know. I really don't. No idea. Wish I did, and I wouldn't tell you. You know.
You can sell it.
Yeah, I don't even think I'd do that. We're gonna keep it for ourselves. But, you know, I think it's just a combination of, you know, guys doing their job, playing with great energy, and being physical and tackling pretty well. And I think you put all those things together, you're going to get some turnovers. You know, that's probably my best explanation for it.
How encouraged were you by the breakout game for Burks and seeing one of those deep balls really click
Yeah.
when he dried up?
So, you know, hopefully we continue to build on that. I mean, I think that's the next step there, and because he always shows flashes, and so now we're kind of getting something done in the game, and more than just one, and you know, he can feel good about himself, and Joe can feel good about him, and we kind of build on that confidence, and he's a guy that we've kind of been waiting on, okay, you know, and so hopefully this little spark that gets us going and takes another step.
After the game, he kind of said that he felt maybe as he's progressed, you guys can open up the playbook a little bit more. I mean, do you feel like that's possible now, and once you're able to see him putting it together?
Yeah, I think so. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think that's kind of how it works around here is, you know, a guy produces, you got to try to figure out ways to keep getting him the ball and do different things. And so, you know, I hope we do that.
Tight end's been a position that's been kind of depleted a little bit throughout the course
Yeah.
of the year. You got a big step up receiving game from Huff.
Yeah, and again, I think that he's going to be, I think he's going to be really good down the road. And, you know, down the road, I don't know if that's next week or next year or whatever, but he's, you know, he's a new player in terms of really being in there and getting his feet wet. And, you know, like so many of our guys, he's a guy's been going, but he's been beat up and sick and, you know, all those things. And so he's really been, you know, showing good toughness, hanging in there, and finally, you know, got a few things done this week.
So what's impressed you about what he's been able to bring to the table for you?
Just probably how much we've been able to throw at him. It's that one position where, you know, from the bleachers, you don't see maybe a whole lot going on, but there is a lot. And he's a guy that we can really count on to do the right thing, assignment-wise. And, you know, because he's going to get bigger down the road, and that's probably the number one thing with him. And so when that comes on him, I think he's going to really, really be a good player.
You would have thought, right, with the injuries you've had at that position?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those positions you look at it back in spring and think, hey, this is gonna be a really good, and then, you know, injuries and that kind of stuff happens, and it's a much different crew.
Speaking of opening the playbook more, it seems like you guys are doing that more and more, maybe not necessarily trick plays, but complicated plays that an offense needs to be clicking to be able to run. Do you see that happening? You're starting to click on offense?
Yeah, I think we're starting to make some, you know, I mean, we always splitting hairs, and we've said this kind of all season long. We hit a couple of passes that we didn't hit, how that can change the mojo of your whole offense and that player in general. And so you hit a couple more of those, you start to feel better. But I do think it comes with, you know, a lot of hard work week in and week out, and eventually you're going to get there. And I think we're starting to feel some of the effects of that hard work.
You mentioned kickoff coverage after the game. As you looked at it on film, is there something you guys really need to fix, or a broader issue, or?
Yeah, there's something we really need to fix. There's no question about that. Yeah, we need to tackle better, you know, and guys need to get off blocks a little bit better. And I think that the, you know, health of our team has showed up there. And so it's all those things. And so, yeah, we got to get it fixed.
Has
You changed-
have the injuries and the other absence of personnel really affected that unit?
I think so. I mean, you know, there's excuses for everything, and that's not what we're about here. And I don't think it's ever any one thing. It's always a combination. And you know, it's just interesting how, you know, in a couple weeks you can go from a great kickoff coverage team to all of a sudden on your heels. And it's a combination of some pretty good return men, some guys doing a good job blocking for them up front, and us, you know, all those other things we just spoke about. You know, it's not any one thing. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. It's, you know, it goes down to probably as much as anything is tackling. You know, that fundamental right there, if we could make that happen, we'd be better off.
Will you try to look at changing up personnel or?
We always do. I mean, you know, it's that fine line between firing a guy because he makes a mistake, which we're not into, and letting him grow into that, and also, who do we got left?
Right.
So,
Did you get anybody back this week?
well, like I said, you know, we're hoping Dex, you know, may be in the mix, and the rest of those guys. You know, we don't know a whole ton until tomorrow, a little bit more. Trainers do some stuff with them today, and then we'll find out.
What about the
So-
Sunny guys, any of those guys coming back?
Eric's back. He was back with us last week. The rest of the guys are not.
So one of those guys, Chris Roberson, is a senior.
And yeah, Chris should be back too.
Oh, he would.
Yeah,
Jake Broyles,
yeah. I think Jake is doubtful for this week. Yeah.
and that was his first action.
Yeah.
In since New Mexico.
Right. Yeah, he's been practicing pretty hard and pretty good. And first real action
Does he
though.
keep re-injuring the same thing?
I believe it is the same
'Cause
ankle
he
or
only got
foot.
one play against New Mexico. And
I think that was one play. Yeah, and I don't know how many he got against this before it happened. Not many.
And Matt's okay.
Matt is okay, we think.
The decision to kick, you know, some of the pooch kicks or the
Yeah.
squib kicks, directly related to not being, you know, that first kickoff return or the
Directly related to not covering well enough. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to, you know, keep them off balance a little bit.
How'd you think that went?
Wasn't another touchdown, so better than before.
Obviously, Deion's a kid that you guys have been high on, but really got to see him make some plays
Yeah.
against Hawaii.
He's good. He's a good player, no doubt. And he's good right now, and he's going to be really good down the road when he just keeps learning, gets coached up, and weight room, and just all those things that come with it. But he's got really good skill just out of the gate. And great demeanor, and he's fun to watch.
It didn't really seem like, I mean, I'm assuming it can't be too easy to just be thrown. I mean, obviously he's been
Yeah.
preparing, I know that, but being thrown in near the end of a season, it didn't seem like he's been intimidated at all. by
No,
that.
and we knew he wouldn't be. I mean, like I say, we're going to play a guy, whether he's a freshman, whether it's right at the start or in the middle of the season. We don't take that lightly. We're not going to set somebody up for failure. We set them up for success, and we just felt like, you know, he could do that, and he's produced so far.
It's good to see Jack Fields get some touches again.
Absolutely, it really is, and he's going to, you know, he's continuing to grow and get better, and you know that's what he needs is game touches to keep learning and keep getting better. But he's going to be a real good player down the road, I believe.
You look there for a lot of that fourth quarter against Hawaii, it was sort of next year's team that was out there. There weren't a whole lot of seniors out there. You like sort of getting that glimpse a little bit of, you know, particularly late in the year, what things might look like in spring ball?
Well, I don't think about it like that. I think about just getting, you know, guys some action that deserve action. It's nice when you're in there, and you know, sometimes that's kind of painful. It doesn't go exactly like you want it to, but it's part of the process. You got to get them in there. It's so completely different than practice, and so that's what we do like about it is getting them meaningful time to see what they can do, and so they can learn from the good and the bad and take the next step.
Anybody do a particularly good job that they got a lot of playing time?
Yeah, I think they, you know, I think there's a lot of guys, and again, I single out one or two guys, and I forget some guys, but I do. I think all those guys. I think Dylan Lucart's making strides, and you know, a lot of those young guys in there that just need to keep playing, and you know, you're always waiting for that next little hint of success and that step. Armand Nance and that crew. It's all those young guys, but I think they're all doing a good job because they're all working hard during the week.
Grant got to throw the ball a little bit,
Yeah.
and not just come in and hand off. How did you think he did managing the offense?
I thought he did well. I mean, he's another guy that, that's always such a tough deal because you put a guy late into the game and you want to throw it to let him, run the offense, but then that can be a fine line as well from, running up scores or things like that. But, you like to see him take off and run, and, he threw a couple balls that were on the guy's chest, and there's, a read or two that probably needed to go a different way, but all that's what needs to happen when you put a guy like that in.
I know Gabe's been gone for a long time. Is there anything happening with him? And
No,
did he get the year back at all? Or?
No, because he's played too much.
Right.
Yeah, and again, he never redshirted because of a medical reason. So you're not gonna,
Right.
you don't get that year back unless it's
Yeah.
two medicals.
So he's done for the year?
Yeah, he won't. We're not gonna get him back. We won't get him back this season.
One more senior day, got to ask about Hazen Moss.
Yeah, so I think Hazen's still a little bit away. We'll get him back this season, game or two. I don't know if it'll be this game or not. He's kind of a week-to-week guy.
How about a guy like Hazen Moss, who's kind of come up the walk-on ranks and made such an impact on?
Yeah, so he's a guy that we're missing tremendously because he's a special teams demon, and we feel his loss significantly. But not only that, in our secondary as well, because he was a number 2 guy right there, and so he would have. So he's a guy that we feel the loss of him. We feel that impact in a huge way.
No, the season isn't over yet, but it being senior day, we asked what they think they'll take away from their time as a Bronco and from kind of learning from you guys. What do you hope they take away?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, but it's one. I hope it's just a great experience for them. I mean, I think that's really, really important that they go through here, and they're probably going to appreciate it a lot more in a few years than they do right now. But I think most of them probably, the young guys are usually the guys that don't appreciate it at all. They can't believe that they're going through this right now and that they got 3 and 4 more years of this. But the older guys, I mean, I think they kind of get that. But just how to operate and how to be a successful guy and how to do things correctly and really work hard and, all the life skills.
When does that change usually kick in from being the young kid that's just...
Yeah. Well, I think if you ask Mitch Burrows and Mike Atkinson, it's right now, when that happens. I mean, that's a rude wake-up call right there. And, some of the other guys that are still in the midst of it, maybe that last game or maybe in another, couple years when they truly get them out of this environment and they're in the real world.
Are there things you remember about certain classes, like what will you remember about this class?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. We still got a lot of football left to play. I mean, we got to finish, and we got to. And that's one of the lessons right there that I hope guys. It doesn't matter what the circumstance. We got to finish, and that's going to have a big impact on, I think, how everybody feels about things. It doesn't matter the circumstances. We got to finish.
So like for you, being out there with the parents, I mean, in most cases you sat in their living rooms 4 or 5,
Yeah.
6 years ago.
I don't see the parents out there. They're at the far end of that tunnel there, so I just see those guys. But, we got wonderful parents. I usually see them. I don't get to see them too much when we play at home, but I usually get to see them on the road because they'll be by the hotel and those type of things. And, it's, those really good kids come from usually really good parents. And so I think I was talking to a crew in Hawaii, and they're starting to feel the effects of not being here. And we get that a lot. It's like, I think Johnny's going to adjust okay to this, but I don't think we are. We're not going to know what to do. So we hear that a lot.
It's just a split second, really, in the tunnel as you send each guy out.
Yeah.
But in your time as head coach, is there a moment that sticks out, something one particular guy said to you that's kind of etched in your memory a little bit?
Not really. Yeah, those guys really don't say much, both of us. I mean, those guys are, one, you're getting ready to play a game, and so there's a lot of emotions going on there, and then, you know, the other senior day things going on, and so there's not a lot of dialogue. It's just they run out there and do their deal, and we try to get refocused.
Darren Kuntz said one of his takeaways from being here is when you talk to players one-on-one about life, and that's one of his takeaways from being a part of this program. Is that a takeaway for you as a coach?
Yeah.
And one of the rewarding things about being a coach?
Yeah, no question. You know, the coaching thing is completely different than so many other things, but, you know, we got the football part of things, and then you got all the life things, and I think that's what all of our coaches do, is they do a great job of coaching these kids football-wise, but, you know, they're in it for more than just that. And, you know, we'll have a lot of conversations with the team about life things, and, you know, sometimes when it's one-on-one with me, you know, those are usually not the good conversations. You know, the good conversations are the team conversations where we're talking about life and those type of things.
I know, obviously,
We gotta go.
Okay.
I know it's, the entire staff's done a nice job defensively, but Pete Kokowski is a guy who's been here for a long time and just seems to keep producing these defenses that keep producing on the field.
Yeah.
What's he been able to do? What's
We're
kind
not
of special
we're not
about him?
talking about that. I don't want his name out there and that guy. I mean, that's okay. Next week, see you. I think Pete has done. I mean, he's awesome, and I've said this from the start. I mean, he develops, you know, defensive line guys like I've never seen, and I think he's really, really good at that. And then, you know, obviously the defensive package in general, the quality that he's put out the last few years, I think that just speaks for itself.
You know, a lot of people were worried losing 5 linemen to the NFL. and
Absolutely.
He seems to have produced a new crop ready to go.
Yeah, and so it has to do with coaching them up and, you know, recruiting the right guys and playing them when they're young and maybe when you're not feeling great about putting them in there. And I mean, it's never any one thing, and he kind of does everything right.